Alright, so rather than using this time to show you how to draw the square boxes, I'm going to leave that to you. You should be able to figure it out using construction lines as well as object lines and the dimensions that are given on the drawing. The only thing that you may need to understand is what this 22 squares means. So over here where it says 22 squares, that's a way of dimensioning a square. If you recall, we had this, I think we had this conversation when we were doing the sketching. What do we know about a square? A square is a four-sided object that has sides that are the same length. So the sides that are the same length is a big property of squares. So in technical drawings, we often just tell you the size of the length of the side, and that determines the size of the square. So what this means is that each of these sides for this square is 22 millimeters long, or this is a 22 millimeter square. So that's what that means. Okay, it's going to be a little tricky drawing this, but it's a good exercise, and if you have questions about it, let me know and I can throw you some hints through an email. What I want to show you on here is how to do the dimensioning. So we're going to make the dimensioning of this object look very similar to the drawing. So we're going to move to a different layer now, move to our dimension layer. And what I've done is I've set up all the text and dimensioning on here so that it looks appropriate and fits well with the size of the drawing, because that's sometimes the scales and stuff that you have to deal with, especially when you're going to print a document and you want it on a piece of paper, you want the numbers to be legible. Okay, so your dimension tool is right here. So if you click on it, it will allow you to snap as well. So I'm going to snap to this corner here, and I'm going to snap to up here. Now this is pretty weird what this dimension is doing. It's doing it on an angle, so that's a little bit odd. I'm not sure why it started there, so let's go to linear dimension up here. Normally it defaults to a linear dimension. So if I go like this and snap to that, there we go. There's my dimension showing up, and if I pull the dimension over here, it'll give me that dimension. Okay, so I want it up and above the object, roughly about like that. Okay, and there's my little arrows, my extension lines. If we zoom in a bit, you'll see that the extension line has a bit of space between itself and the object. The reason we use different colors in AutoCAD as well is because then when we print the document, it shows up a little different as well, and it kind of breaks them up. So right mouse click, repeat dim linear. I'm going to snap to this object. Now be careful when you're snapping that you're snapping to the actual object and not to the end of the extension lines. Okay, I'm going to line that one up as close as I can. Alright, and there we have those two dimensions. I'm going to do the same on the outside here. So if you stay on the inside of the object and snap, it'll tend to grab the object line and not the extension line. Do that, bring it out here, 105. Now keep an eye on the drawing. I've got to try and fit these other dimensions inside here, so I'm going to zoom in a bit on this space. I'm not sure why my spacebar is not working for my panning tool, but so I'm going to snap and snap, bring that out to 20. Okay, and I think you get the picture here. I'm going to show you how to do an angular one. Okay, so let's come over to here and we'll do this 45 right here. All right, so the difficulty with doing this dimension here is if I go to my dimension and I go to angular, to do an angular dimension I need to have two lines, right? So this is going to give me either that dimension or it'll give me the out there's, oh, this, now it's creating the 45. That's nice. Okay, so it didn't used to do that before. Maybe I was doing something wrong, but there's my 45 degrees. Let's try that over here with the 30. So angular, right mouse click, repeat. So if I click on here and here, there's 60, 120. Wants to do the 60 down here, which I guess we could do. The 120 there. Okay. The other way of doing the 30 is to use your line tool and actually draw on a line. So again, we need a little bit of space there. It's going to be tough to do because it's snapping. So it's okay if your extension line snaps to that. Draw a line out a little ways. It'll be red because we're on the dimension layer. Enter. Go back up to dim angular and click on that line and this line. And now we have our 30 degree. Okay, it doesn't matter to me whether the arrows are on the inside of the angle or the outside. Put it where you want it. And let's just click on zoom here. And there we go. Okay, so that's what it's looking like so far. So I'm going to let you continue dimensioning that. Make sure you're saving often. So you should be able to save that and then when you're done doing the drawing, you can shut the machine down. Okay? So you can get the squares going and the dimensions, and then you're all set, and that's your task for the 3 days, to kind of experiment with this. Okay, and get used to AutoCAD, and hopefully it works. Good luck, and we'll talk soon. See you on Thursday.